This year's Dragon Ball Heroes units look pretty hype, but are they worth summoning for? How's it, everybody? Celtic Link here. We're back for another Dokkan battle video. In today's video, we are going over this year's Super Dragon Ball Heroes collaboration campaign banner and determining whether or not you should spend your hard-earned Dragon Stones on these units. As always, when we determine whether or not to summon on a banner, we take a look at the units on the banner, we take a look at what they do and whether or not they can carry the banner, and then we look at the banner as a whole and assess its value. And finally, we look at banners to come and determine whether or not an investment on this banner is worth your stones. So let's start with the units. We have gone over these units several times, and because basically every unit on this banner is new or has a new awakened form, we're not going to go in detail on each one. We'll just briefly talk about each one and determine whether or not the units themselves can hold the banner. Now, because this is a Dragon Ball Heroes unit, these units are exclusive. They will only show up at this time this year, and so far as we know, never again until next year. In which case, they won't even be featured, right? So this will be your only chance to pick them up featured. So that is something to consider. Now, we have the Limit Breaker Super Saiyan 4 Goku, the Limit Breaker Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. These are very good units designed to be run together. They clearly work very much like the Gammas do. Goku working in slot 1, taking damage, reducing damage, as well as buffing himself. Vegeta doing the same thing, but in slot 2, launching an additional attack, etc. So they're designed to work together. Goku designed to be in slot 1 with Vegeta in slot 2. They both lead heroes and time travelers for 200%, or I'm sorry, heroes and crossover for 200%, with Goku leading full power as his secondary lead, and Vegeta leading grade 8 power. Honestly, in my opinion, that makes Vegeta the better leader, because giant 8 power then allows you to run other Super Saiyan 4. So just my thoughts on their leader skills, but all in all, those two units themselves, I would say based on what I'm seeing from them and from pre-showcases, they do carry the banner. They are really, really good. Hearts, same thing, right? Hearts is extremely good, especially in his pre-transformed state, where he's buffing all his allies. Once transformed with his active skill, he becomes even more powerful, but like a lot of other transformation units, loses his support. But he is limited to time travelers, right? He really wants to be on time travelers, which, like the Goku and Vegeta, means you basically are running Dragon Ball Heroes with these guys. So something to consider. That does make them extremely limited, but still very, very good. The other units on the banner are all awakened units. You have the Bardock, the Gohan, as we talked in our previous video. Both awakenings are extremely good. The Bardock is crazy. Gohan will not take damage. They're both very, very good. So even with those awakenings alone, I'd say it would be worth trying to pick them up, especially the Gohan, because he's limited to giant 8 power, not to Dragon Ball Heroes, versus the Bardock, who's more limited to crossover, which honestly isn't too bad because there's a lot of crossover with other Bardock type units, so he could be run on some other teams too, not necessarily Dragon Ball Heroes. The Robello and Supreme Kai Time are both very good. Hearts is extremely good. The only ones that are not so good are these two units, the Janemba and the Golden Metal Cooler. Now, obviously, we were expecting them to awaken since they advanced the last year's units to awaken sooner than expected, but that was probably more to fill out the banner, so it makes me wonder what's coming next year, right? But it does seem that they will not awaken, so honestly, they are not going to be that good. They'll be okay, but they, like the previous year's SSRs, they're not going to be as good as they could be. So I do think that kind of holds the banner back, but it's just kind of a unit you can hold in your back pocket until they awaken. So all in all, the units themselves, I would say each and every one of these units has something that carries the banner with them. So with that, I would say based on the units themselves, it is worth your stones. So that's 1 out of 3 because the units are good, and if you're someone who enjoys heroes, definitely, I would say that makes it worth your stones. So that's 1 out of 3. Moving on, something to consider. What's coming up next, right? What's coming up next? We know that we are likely to see in the beginning of December this banner right here, the Vegeta and Trunks LR. This is their banner. It has the Vegeta and Trunks, the new Goku Black, the previous year's Gogeta, the Blue Boys, the Go Bros, Galen, Caulifla, Kefla, Int Goku Black, Super Saiyan Blue, Kaioken, right? The banner itself is not that good, but Vegeta and Trunks themselves are very good, and it is basically one of 2 chances this year that you will have to pick up the Tech Gogeta if you had not picked him up yet. So something to consider if you were someone who was saving for Vegeta and Trunks or saving to try to get that Gogeta. Heroes might prevent you from doing that, and that's not all that's coming. There's a good chance that if these guys come as the December 3rd unit, our double rates banner for December is likely to be the Fused Zamasu banner, which is really good for global, having this guy be the double rates banner, because not only will we be getting carnival coins for him, but we have a higher chance of pulling him in. On an LR banner, that's always a good thing, right? Because LR banners tend to typically not be so good. So something to consider. If you were saving for Fused Zamasu, maybe Heroes isn't the best choice right now. The last thing to consider as far as what's coming, obviously at the end of the year on New Year's Eve, we will receive the New Year's Step Up banner. We get this banner every year, and actually this looks like the previous year's banner. So let's scroll over here. Let's go camp. Oh no, where is it? Campaigns. Yeah. Oh no, it's not going to be on there, is it? Well, that's fine. We don't actually need it up. It's basically always the same, right? You have a step up for... Oh, is this one? Yeah, this is the one. This is last year's. Here we go. Got it. 2022. Perfect. Okay, so this is 2022's step up banner. Had 2 guaranteed featured LR steps. So for 200 stones, you can get yourself all previous Easy Aid Dokkan Fest leaders. At this point, they've all Easy Aid, so no matter what, you'll be picking up an Easy A one. The second one will give you a more recent Dokkan Fest unit. The third step will be a guaranteed OG LR, right? If we scroll down here, we can see them. And then the fourth step was one of the 2021 Dokkan Fest exclusives. So replace this with all of the 2022 Dokkan Fest exclusives, and then recent LRs in the final step. So something to consider if you are a newer player, or you're a player who doesn't have many of these units duped out. This is a really, really good value for you as a player, and something you should be worth keeping around 200 stones for. So all in all, depending on where you're at with your stones, it may be better to save for this banner than it would be to summon on Dragon Ball Heroes, given that the units are very restricted to heroes, right? If you are summoning to build a heroes team, right? You're not going to be able to just pull 1 or 2 of these. That's something really to consider, which brings me to the final point, right? So for units coming up, I would have to say that gives the summon banner a no-go. So we're 1 for 1 right now. So that leaves us to look at the banner as a whole. Like I said, the banner, you're basically summoning for the units on the banner. Like, you can't just pull 1 or 2 because they all need to be run with other heroes units, right? And so if you're just starting out, you're definitely gonna want to invest quite a number of stones to at least build a heroes team. Whether that team is extreme or super, you're gonna need some units, especially if you're just starting out. Now, something to consider: crossover summons, these Dragon Ball Heroes summons, are guaranteed featured. So if you pull, just like last year, if you pull, you will pull a guaranteed featured. And then there's always a chance you could pull an unfeatured unit along with your featured unit, and the entire roster of Dragon Ball Heroes category characters is in the unfeatured pool. So you're only going to pull Dragon Ball Heroes cards within this. So that is really, really, really good. So chances are high, like if you did a summon and you got a god animation, you're getting 4 guaranteed, 4 Dragon Ball Heroes characters, so something to consider. Now, another thing to consider is if you don't have any of the EZA units. Last year we had an EZA banner which offered 30 stone discount, right? And same thing, all of the other heroes units are on here in the general pool, along with the units that are EZA. I expect to see that the same thing for the units listed here that are going to be EZA, the Super Saiyan 3 Goku, Vegeta, and all of that. Now, I don't necessarily want to give my recommendation to summon for that, but I will say it's a pretty good deal. 90 stones, 3 guaranteed feature steps. That's pretty good, honestly. So I can't say don't summon, but if you're missing some of these units, it's a pretty good deal. So I'll just say that. Now, so bringing us back to the banner as a whole, knowing that that's what you got to do, knowing that is guaranteed featured, I would say that that makes it worth your summon. So we're 2 in the summon category. So I would say definitely if you have the extra stones, summon on this banner, because the Heroes units only come around once a year, and if you're someone who enjoys Dragon Ball Heroes, no sense in missing out on the enjoyment. I will say this, I will tier my recommendation as I always do. If you are sitting on less than 200 stones, do not summon. I will say that. If you are sitting on less than 200 stones, do not summon. Save your stones for the New Year's step up. If you're 500 to 800, I would say throw about 200 stones into this banner. You're bound to pick up something good in those 200 stones. If you're 800 to 1,000, go wild, man. Maybe don't spend more than 500. Leave yourself some room for the step-ups, but otherwise, you know, let yourself go. This is a good banner, and it's guaranteed featured. Last year, I pulled God Trunks multiple times in less than 300 stones. The same could happen for you, so definitely take advantage of that guaranteed featured step, and it's not often we get fun units like this. Dragon Ball Heroes may not be the greatest team in the game, but it certainly is one of the most fun, and I would love for you guys to be able to enjoy that fun with me. So again, I'll tier my recommendation, as I said. Depending on how many stones you have will be the better recommendation and determination on whether or not you should summon on this banner. So anyways, guys, that's the video. If you liked the video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And in the comments down below, let me know, do you plan on summoning for Dragon Ball Heroes? If you do, who are you hoping to pull? If you decided not to summon, what are you saving for? Would love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Otherwise, guys, as always, thanks for watching, and aloha.